Tianbao Fu Yao Lu. Chapter 163. Dire Matters. Mo Rijin nudged Hung Jun, indicating that he should hurry up and take the moon eclipse bow. When Hung Jun thought about how the Yaoguai had already escaped, so there wasn't much use for the array anymore, he turned and walked to the elevated platform, before he took a deep breath. In his heart, he still rejected Akela, but he had no choice but to ask him for help. If you can hear what I'm saying in my heart, then please give me the moon eclipse bow, Hung Jun thought. Either way I'll only be using it to kill myself, so there's not much selfish intent there. As he thought that, he lifted his hand and grasped the moon eclipse bow. In that moment, the power of the earth veins poured wildly into him, coursing through his entire body. Hung Jun let out a shout of pain. The power of the earth veins spread through his body, before dissipating. The devil seed in his chest swiftly let out black chi. This was just like when Li Jinglong had gone to touch the Yao binding rope. The earth veins were currently fighting back, not letting him take the moon eclipse bow. Mo Rijin staggered towards Hung Jun, who held doggedly onto the moon eclipse bow, despite the great pain he was feeling, continuing to fight back against that power. When that power rushed over Mo Rijin, he grew a little more clear-headed, and he shouted, "Hung Jun!" Lu Su shouted, "Hung Jun! Let go!" Lu Su's form began to blur. "Hung Jun, it hurts so much." "Wait. If it's not working, then let go for now," Mo Rijin said. "I can't let go," Hung Jun shouted. "It sucked me in." Amidst that hazy light, Lu Su was shouting something anxiously. Mo Rijin grabbed Hung Jun and started to pull him backwards. Hung Jun's mouth was filled with the coppery tang of blood, and the power of the earth veins was currently wildly attacking his meridians, so his entire body was in great pain. Mo Rijin knew that if he did not stop this, Hung Jun's physical form might end up burning entirely to ash, so he immediately grabbed Hung Jun's wrist and started to pry his fingers off. But at the very moment that Mo Rijin touched the moon eclipse bow, the golden glow grew stronger. There was a bright flash, and the platform collapsed. The moon eclipse bow fell into Mo Rijin's hand, and golden light quickly spread through Mo Rijin's body. The magic array under their feet then dissipated, and the two of them began to fall at the same time. "Hung Jun!" Mo Rijin grabbed the moon eclipse bow right before he collapsed to the ground in a dead faint. As soon as Hung Jun was out of danger, Lu Su appeared again. "Lu Su, what happened here?" "Hung Jun, Jenga? Jenga?" Hung Jun went forward and shook him, but Mo Rijin was already dead to the world. The ceiling of the cavern was beginning to fall in, and broken chunks of ice and pieces of rock came tumbling down. Hung Jun hurriedly grabbed Mo Rijin's arm and hauled it around his shoulders, half dragging him and half lifting him on his shoulders as he tugged the unconscious Mo Rijin along. Lu Su ran to the entrance of the cavern, shouting, "Here!" Hung Jun immediately dashed towards that exit. A huge boom rang out in the collapsing belly of the mountain. The inside of the passageway was pitch black. "It's an underground waterway," Lu Su shouted. "I don't know how to swim," Hung Jun replied anxiously. "Don't be afraid. Get into the water," Lu Su shouted. "It's not deep." At daybreak, Hung Jun's head popped out of the water. He gasped for air, incomparably shocked. "I know how to swim now." This huge lake was actually only 5 chi deep. The surface of the lake was covered in broken ice. It was only now that Hung Jun had realized that he had waded the entire way from the end of the tunnel to this place. He hurriedly dragged Mo Rijin up onto the bank and listened to his chest. He still had a heartbeat. Quickly, Hung Jun hurriedly carried Mo Rijin towards the sled. Mo Rijin had previously hidden that sled behind some of the rocks on the mountain, and the sled dogs were actually still here. They were currently lunging and biting at the snakes. "Head back," Hung Jun said, throwing out his knives and instantly killing the venomous snakes. "Take your owner with you and go away." Those dogs had been raised by none other than Mo Rijin himself, and they were very clever. Upon seeing the situation at hand, they immediately began to drag the sled along, racing towards the stone castle. At sunrise, the eastern sky appeared milky white. "I have to go," Lu Su said. "Don't go," Hung Jun shouted. "Lu Su, I can't. The sky's brightening," Lu Su said. "Take care of him, Hung Jun. You can do it." The sunlight shone in, the dark night had passed. The white deer transformed into glimmering white powder, which vanished under the dawn light. The second day of the first month, Tong Pass, the military manor. "You must not send out the troops," Li Jinglong bellowed, enraged. "Marquis Li," Bian Lingcheng said, holding a teacup, slowly and methodically drinking his tea. "Your vanishing act lasted almost 2 whole years. I imagine that you are well aware of how everyone through all the ranks of the court speaks of you. Yet instead of hurrying back to Chang'an to explain yourself to His Highness the Crown Prince, you're here entertaining our delusions of involving yourself in military matters." Li Jinglong was sitting in the guest seat to the lower right, while Bian Lingcheng sat in the host seat. Gao Xianzi and Feng Changqing were sitting to the left of him, and their faces were ghastly pale. Li Jinglong was so angry that he was shaking, and he said darkly, "I have a special task to carry out right now, and it is not convenient for me to return to the capital at this moment." "Carry out your task then," Bian Lingcheng replied coldly, "and I will supervise my troops. We can each keep to our own duties. This is an edict penned by His Majesty himself. Are you thinking of defying his orders?" Li Jinglong, "When a commander is out in the field." "Feng Changqing, Li Jinglong. Shut your mouth." Feng Changqing's enraged shout made Bian Lingcheng immediately stop in his motions. There was a cruel smile in his eyes as he looked to Gao Xianzi, and he said, "General Gao, if you are unable to respect your superiors, then I can only." But before Bian Lingcheng could say the words "send you back to the capital with an armed escort," Gao Xianzi had already sucked in a deep breath. "We will fight. Since His Majesty has decreed it to be so, how can I disobey?" Li Jinglong's forehead was furrowed deeply. Gao Xianzi then asked, "How many people does the exorcism department have?" Li Jinglong replied, 3 people. Tu Reinduct was an outside hire to begin with, and she was pregnant to boot. Luoyang had been a special situation, and she shouldn't have been dispatched anyway, so naturally she could not do battle. Chu Yongxi had not arrived, and Hung Jun and Mo Rijin had gone to Sibei, so the only ones that could fight were Lu Su, Atai, and Ashinakayan. As they were speaking, the sword of wisdom that Li Jinglong had placed before his knees suddenly began to glow. "When will you do battle?" Bian Lingcheng asked coldly. "After these matters have been agreed upon, I will set out," Feng Changqing said, brusquely and coldly. He then rose and bid farewell. Bian Lingcheng said, "Give me a deadline." Gao Xianzi replied, "The situation is unclear. I am unable to give you a deadline." Gao Xianzi also rose to leave. Bian Lingcheng's expression instantly twisted into a frightening grimace, and when he turned to Li Jinglong, he said, "Marquis, I never thought that you would still be here. One of the commands that the imperial court issued on pain of death was for me to find you as quickly as possible, and to escort you in chains back to the capital." "Tell Chancellor Yang," Li Jinglong replied coldly, "that as soon as An Lushan is dealt with, I will naturally go to see him. Forgive me for not being able to accompany you." But just as Li Jinglong turned to leave, Bian Lingcheng chuckled oddly. "Don't blame me for not having warned you. When that time comes, it may be too late." Suddenly, the sword of wisdom left its sheath. Li Jinglong, with the sword in hand, turned to press this rusty sword to Bian Lingcheng's throat. Bian Lingcheng immediately fell silent. "You dare to kill an official appointed by the court?" Bian Lingcheng asked coldly. "You want to test it by saying another word?" Li Jinglong's tone was icy, and left no room for doubt that as long as Bian Lingcheng opened his mouth again, this rusty sword would pierce right through his throat. The bottled anger that Li Jinglong had suppressed all this time finally exploded out at this moment, and he said coldly, "The ones who are setting out to battle are not only the soldiers of Tong Pass, but also my subordinates. Squashing you to death would be the same as squashing an ant. Don't act so arrogant in front of me." Bian Lingcheng had long since known that in Chang'an, Li Jinglong had been self-conceited and arrogant about his own abilities, and he was well known for his disagreeable behavior where he swaggered around unafraid of anything. Many years ago, for some reason, he had reined that in, and he had skyrocketed through the ranks for quite a while. But only now, as Bian Lingcheng was dealing directly with him, did he learn of this bastard's temper. Bian Lingcheng kept his silence. Li Jinglong turned and left. After walking out of the military manor, he almost lost the balance of his qi and blood and ended up coughing up blood. His entire body was racked with pain, and he trembled as he staggered into the carriage and went back to the exorcism department. "Hung Jun has gotten another artifact," Li Jinglong said, after gathering Atai and Ashinakayang. The Sword of Wisdom sensed it. Back when they had been at the bottom of the dragon subduing tower, when they had gotten the Yao binding rope, the two of them hadn't paid attention, but now that he had seen it, the Sword of Wisdom seemed to have some sort of resonance with the other artifacts. "The reality of the situation is not as you imagine it to be," Lu Su said as he came into the hall. Li Jinglong frowned and looked towards Lu Su, who sat down on his knees, thought deeply for a moment, and said, "Something's come up on Jenga's side, so they may not be able to make it back for a while yet." Everyone was instantly shocked. Li Jinglong asked, "How so?" The Shi Wei tribe was simply too far from them, and letting them worry idly was not an option either. After Lu Su thought for a bit, he finally said, "An internal affair within the tribe." Atai and Ashinakayan glanced at each other. The Carpio piped up from the side, "Does Hung Jun have two artifacts then?" "We have the moon eclipse bow," Lu Su replied, phrasing it differently. At the same time, he couldn't help thinking over that last moment, and wondering, could the person who got the moon eclipse bow actually be Morrigan? Ashinakayang asked doubtfully, "How do you know?" "Jenga and I," Lu Su thought for a moment, before continuing, "the grey wolf and the white deer naturally have a special connection." Li Jinglong then asked about Hung Jun again, and Lu Su knew that if he mentioned too much, they would worry for nothing. Li Jinglong wouldn't be able to help them, so he could only tell them that their situation was stable for the time being. In the end, Li Jinglong still saw through him, but he didn't pursue that line of questioning. Instead, he brought up their future battle to the group. "How are we supposed to fight?" Ashinakayang asked. "There's only the four of us, and Zenchi, you're still." "Zenchi, are you recovered?" "No," Li Jinglong replied, nonplussed. "I'm just able to walk." "There's also me." "There's also me," the Carpio said from the side. "Lu Su, you stay right here at home." The Carpio pulled out its dragon scale, but Li Jinglong shot it down, waspish and lost in thought. "The Dragon Kings can only be summoned once." "Atai, don't you have another use for it?" The Carpio replied, "It's better if I prioritize using it to protect everyone." "I also have one here," Lu Su said. "If things end up not going well, why don't we all pull them out and use them?" Li Jinglong frowned. "It's not that I don't want to use these protective talismans, but rather, to tell you the truth, if An Lushan appears in person, the Dragon Kings will not be its match." Right now, the situation was unclear. Bian Lingcheng had come on Li Longji's orders to request Gao Xianzi and Feng Changqing to wage war as quickly as possible, to recover Shan Commandery. This battle would not be like the sacking of Luoyang, this would be the first proper, large-scale, decisive battle between the rebels and the Tang soldiers. If they won this battle, An Lushan would retreat back to Yuzhu. If they lost, the Great Tang's losses would be even heavier. If the army was to be defeated, can Tong Pass hold out? A Tai asked. Do not consider defeat, Li Jinglong said. We cannot lose. A Tai, Ashinakayang, and Lu Su all looked to Li Jinglong. Ashinakayang said, if you want me to fight in a battle, Zenshi, that's okay, but if this is a battle that cannot be won, you must have some idea in mind. I am willing to go through fire and water for the exorcism department, but I cannot promise you that I can win. Li Jinglong sucked in a deep breath, and the atmosphere immediately grew grim. But in the end, he managed to win out against himself, and he said, you speak rightly. The Carpiao asked, then are we still fighting? I suggest waiting for the rest, A Tai said. Only after everyone is gathered will we have the morale. Ashinakayang added, the power of the exorcism department lies in all of us, in every one of us. We cannot lack even a single member. Lu Su said, Yang Siga hasn't come back yet, and the Big Wolf and Hung Jun are still in Saibei. Now, I feel that as long as everyone is here, I have confidence that we will win. Li Jinglong asked in reply, then will we run? We won't fight. Everyone hushed at that. Li Jinglong rose to his feet with difficulty. Lu Su moved to help him, but Li Jinglong shook his head and walked into the corridor outside. A Tai said, let's wait for General Feng's report. If we can drag this out for a while longer, until Yangtze, Morijin, and Hung Jun come back, then that'll be easy to figure out. Li Jinglong had no choice but to nod. Lu Su, come over here. Lu Su had no choice but to grit his teeth and go over there. Li Jinglong asked, tell me the truth. What exactly happened in Saibei? It really isn't much, but just as Lu Su was about to gloss over it, Li Jinglong looked at him with a serious expression and said sternly, Lu Su, think this through. If this has an impact on the situation at hand and you hide the information from me, the results may be unimaginable. When Lu Su was warned like this, he had no choice but to tell Li Jinglong the details of what had happened. But as he was halfway through, Li Jinglong exclaimed, his voice trembling, damn it! Lu Su had just mentioned that female shaman, and he asked, surprised, what's wrong? Li Jinglong said, get into contact with Hung Jun. Confirm something with him, whether or not that Yao Guai can communicate with Mara. When he was reminded of this, Lu Su grew worried, and he replied, it's not night time yet, I can't go into his dream. Li Jinglong breathed in deeply, and he looked at the sky, saying gravely, may the heavens watch over the great Tang. Hung Jun led Morijin back to the stone castle. At this time, the stone castle was already enveloped in a cloud of black chi. Jenga. Hung Jun said. Wake up. Hang in there. Morijin had his eyes tightly shut, and he was curled into a ball. He muttered, it's cold. Hung Jun had used every method he knew of, but this snake venom was not something that he had ever encountered. He couldn't wait until sunset, he had to sneak into the city right away and figure out a way to get the antidote. Morijin had also mentioned before that the antidote was in his room, but the people here often went out hunting, especially in the spring and summer, so they probably ran into these kinds of snakes pretty regularly. In that case, they should also have the antidote on hand, so perhaps every household had it? Hung Jun thought, how have I become so smart? Hung Jun first hid Morijin in a secluded spot outside of the city, wrapping him well in furs and placing the phoenix feather in his arms. The stone castle was surrounded by walls that were a good 3 jong high, but climbing over walls was something that had never defeated him before, especially with the Yao binding rope. He nimbly climbed over it and landed on the ground. The sun sank westward. The market was bustling with commotion, and Hung Jun found a residence with furs draped over the entrance, which marked that this was a hunter's family. He quietly crept in. Hung Jun had seen the layout of the Shiwei people's homes in Lu Su's memories before. Their medicines were usually kept in a box under the bed, and every household had a box made of animal hide, which was filled with the medicines that the shamans had given them. Human voices sounded outside. Hung Jun couldn't keep searching, so he wrapped up the entire medicine box and vaulted out the window. He then climbed over several walls and left the city, but when he went back to that secluded spot, he suddenly found that Morigin had vanished. Hung Jun. End chapter. Tianbao Fu Yao Lu. Chapter 164. The Secret of the Royal Family. Has the poison been cured? Did you succeed? How's the situation over there? Two voices sounded at once, and Hung Jun was greatly startled. When he turned, he saw Li Jinglong and Lu Su standing to one side, and he immediately shouted, "Jinglong!" Hung Jun leapt towards him, but he pounced on thin air, and he was very shocked. The sun had set, and Lu Su and Li Jinglong stood to one side. Lu Su apologized. "I didn't get your consent before I brought him here." Hung Jun hurried to reassure him that that was all right. Lu Su then added awkwardly, "He and I are currently holding hands and lying together." "Of course," Hung Jun replied with, "it's really not an issue." "But he can't see what you're thinking," Lu Su said. "Zhenji only managed to get in here by relying on my magic power." Hung Jun asked, "Can you do this with other people as well?" Hung Jun almost wanted Lu Su to bring everyone in at once, but Lu Su replied expressionlessly, "That won't work. Do you want to kill me with exhaustion? Plus, other people don't have the same status that he does in your heart." "All right, stop idly chatting," Li Jinglong said, upon seeing the two of them begin to twitter on about something or another. "Where's Morigin? Why is it only you?" Hung Jun immediately remembered, and he hurriedly filled them in quickly on the situation. Li Jinglong said angrily, "How did things end up like this?" Hung Jun was very shamefaced, and he said, "I'm sorry, I also didn't think that." Li Jinglong immediately explained, "I'm not talking about you." "He's too stupid," Lu Su said. He and Li Jinglong had been blaming Morigin all along. Li Jinglong added, "Let me go search." "We can't get too far from Hung Jun," Lu Su said, "otherwise you'll end up going back. Let's all move together." At first, Hung Jun had been at a loss for what to do, but now that Lu Su and Li Jinglong had both appeared, he immediately felt a lot more sure-footed. It was a dark night, and in the pitch-black darkness, Hung Jun once again climbed over the wall into the city. Where would they lock the big wolf up after they captured him? Lu Su asked. "Let's take a look in the dungeons first," Li Jinglong said. "Do you know where the dungeons are?" This stumped Hung Jun. He had only stayed in the city for a single day. Lu Su said, "They're often underground. Head east." In the darkness, Hung Jun dodged the patrolling guards and searched through the medicines in the box, sniffing them one by one. He got rid of the herbal medicines, which left 3 pouches of powder. Li Jinglong then said, "Go to the rooms of the Shi Wei King. Go to the dungeons." "He's not in the dungeons." "Where exactly should I go?" Hung Jun stopped walking, looking exasperated. Lu Su had no choice but to say, "Forget it, listen to Zhenji Ba." Though Zhenji's body was done for, his brain was still clear. With that, Hung Jun leapt over the rooftops and climbed up to a corridor. Li Jinglong then asked, "Where's the moon eclipse bow?" "That's really a long story." As he walked along, Hung Jun filled him in quietly, while Lu Su and Li Jinglong followed behind. Lu Su explained what had happened to Li Jinglong, who was very taken aback. "The moon eclipse bow went to Morigin." Li Jinglong asked disbelievingly. "To tell you the truth, yes." "Don't walk towards the corridor. Get onto the roof," Li Jinglong said, changing his mind. Hung Jun leapt onto the roof of the stone castle, and he came to a stop outside the bedroom of the Shi Wei King. Without waiting for Li Jinglong to give the go-ahead, he dangled himself, head down, and pushed the window open, peering in. He originally was only going to peek, he had never thought that he would immediately spot Mo Rijin was lying on the ground in the room. Smoke surrounded him, while that female shaman and the Shi Wei king discussed something. "Who is this shaman?" Lu Su suddenly asked. "How did she come to the Shi Wei?" Mo Rijin had only told Hung Jun a simple version of her origins, and after he told that to Lu Su said, "Her name is Mo Lu. I feel like she and the old shaman don't really have much connecting them. Maybe she's been possessed by a Yaoguai," Li Jinglong suggested. Instead of that, Lu Su said, "It'd be more accurate to say that she was a Yao to begin with, but I can't tell what kind. Her Yao power has something to do with dreams." Of those present, only Lu Su could understand the Shi Wei language, so he translated for the other two in small bursts. "She's not planning on curing the big wolf of the poison," Lu Su said. "There will be a ritual slightly later, and after he is done, she will turn him into one of the living dead." "Hung Jun?" Li Jinglong asked darkly, his dad's in agreement. "They're currently negotiating." Lu Su walked a little bit away from Hung Jun, walking right into the Shi Wei king's bedroom to listen. As long as Hung Jun didn't make a noise, no one around them would be able to hear Lu Su's voice. It was as if Hung Jun was experiencing an auditory hallucination. With that, Lu Su listened to sentence after sentence, which he translated for them from within the room. "You have raised this child as if he was a descendant of your own bloodline, in open defiance against the mountain spirits of the Shi Wei. Do you still remember the Wolf King that hunted in the past? This is its revenge. Just like what the ancient prophecy stated." Suddenly, Lu Su stopped talking, though the discussion inside continued. Li Jinglong said, "You saw the devil chi coming off her, didn't you?" Hung Jun Ed. "Perhaps it was An Lushan who sent her here." Li Jinglong asked quietly, "Have you seen her cast any spells to communicate with An Lushan?" Hung Jun replied, "I haven't, actually." Lu Su only managed to come back to himself a long while later, and he said, "The old shaman left behind a prophecy, which was written on a piece of paper. The prophecy states that the Shi Wei king will meet his end in the jaws of a wolf. The Mang ox's death heralds the birth of the wolf. The totem that this Shi Wei king worshipped was a Mang ox. In reality, wolves, deer, bears, hawks, and swans were the 5 great totems, and every successor would pick one of them as the representation of the Shi Wei king's right to rule. In the beginning, these 5 great totems came from the 5 clans of the Shi Wei, and it was originally decreed that the 5 clans would pass the royal privilege amongst themselves, but as time passed, one clan gradually grew large enough to encompass them. Each of the clans, through marriage, migrated and intermingled with each other, becoming the Shi Wei of today. He is not Mo Rijin's birth father, Lu Su said quietly. I also don't think they look alike. Don't talk. Li Jinglong immediately hushed him. Lu Su said, what am I supposed to do? I've heard so much that I shouldn't have. Li Jinglong replied, no need to say any more. We can both pretend that we don't know anything more about this. It's fine, as long as you know. In the dim bedchamber, the Shi Wei king was silent for a very, very long time. Even though Hung Jun couldn't understand the Shi Wei language, he could guess that it meant do as you see fit. Right after that, the Shi Wei king called some servants in, who carried Mo Rijin away. The female shaman was just about to turn and leave, only for the Shi Wei king to call out to her again, halting her in her steps. They sent the big wolf away, Lu Su said. What should we do now? Hung Jun was only one person, and he really wanted to listen, but he also had to go conduct a rescue. He really wished he could split himself. After thinking for a brief period, he made the decision to go save Mo Rijin first. As they left, Hung Jun suddenly sensed that Lu Su had had an idea, as countless pieces of information poured into his brain. The gist of it had to do with Mo Rijin's identity. When the Shi Wei king had paid Mo Rijin's mother a visit in that nameless village at the foot of the Lone Peak, there had been another hunter who had stayed no more than a few short months in the village. According to what the female shaman had said, that hunter was Morrigan's real father. After Morrigan had been brought back to the tribe, the Shiwei king did not doubt his identity, and though he was a bastard, he still ended up treating him as a son. But today, after learning of the truth, an unspeakable rage instantly filled his chest. Hung Jun thought, who's his real father? I don't know, Lu Su said. What are you two talking about now? Li Jinglong asked. Lu Su replied, since we aren't letting you listen, obviously we don't want to tell you. Got a problem with that? Li Jinglong. Hung Jun hid himself before the long corridor, and upon hearing those words, was just about to placate them, only to see Li Jinglong and Lu Su vanish at the same time. Where'd they go? Hung Jun asked, astonished. Lu Su immediately appeared again, saying, I have to go. This all depends on you now, Hung Jun. After Lu Su said that, he and Li Jinglong vanished. Hung Jun was immediately at a loss for what to do, and in the long corridor, two Shiwei bodyguards were passing through, carrying Morrigan. Hung Jun gripped his throwing knives, but he couldn't bring himself to throw them. If it was someone else, they might have soundlessly taken their lives with two of the knives, but he could not bring himself to slaughter someone so mercilessly. After a brief period of thinking, Hung Jun pulled out the Yao binding rope, coiling it around the metal lock outside the door to the long corridor. He thought silently, sorry about this, before he tossed it out. That metal lock was almost 10 jin in weight, and it slammed right into the backs of those two bodyguards' heads. With muffled thuds, the bodyguards fell to the ground. When Hung Jun heard those thuds, he thought to himself, ouch, that must really hurt, but saving people was more important. He immediately landed, lifted the stretcher holding Morrigan, and dashed through the long corridor. In the darkness, he used his shoulder to slam a door open, and he entered Morrigan's bedroom. He locked the door behind him, before pulling out the antidote, helping Morrigan into a sitting position, and feeding him the antidote. He then applied ointment to his wounds, and sent the pentacolor sacred light into his body to help the medicine take effect faster. At the same time, the Tong Pass. The first whale went up in the darkness. Without any warning, a guard guarding the pass exploded into bloody mist, and his fresh blood turned into meteorites that rose into the air. Right after that, a Yaogwai that had been circling in the air on the back of a giant bat came flying towards them, trailing a dense fog of blood behind her. Yaogwai, the guards shouted in terror. A bloody rain fell, falling on the guards that were guarding the city. The coppery tang had a great effect, and the guards were absolutely terrified as they scattered every which way. The red fog spread, engulfing the heights of the pass. The guards up there let out cries of horror as Liang Danhuo, her hair loose and unbound, took off her human skin and, dripping with fresh blood, opened her gaping, bloody maw, drinking in the blood of those high up on the walls. Wherever she flew, the mortals' bodies exploded, and they instantly died. Walking beasts climbed over the valleys and leapt onto the city walls, ripping and tearing at the guards who were rushing up onto the walls. For a time, the Yao beasts massacred them indiscriminately. Liang Danhuo stood high up on the walls, letting out a piercing, hair-raising screech. Li Jinglong, if you have the guts, then come out and fight. A ball of whirling flame shot through the air, twisting its way up the watchtower. Liang Danhuo pulled back and flew into the air, leaving behind echoes of her odd laughter. She leapt onto the back of the bat and flew away, and the beasts also immediately retreated, vanishing as if they'd never been there. The troops poured in, and it was chaos. In the span of a night, the entire city was roused, and horses galloped by. Li Jinglong and Lu Su were woken by Ashinakayan. Ashinakayan looked at them oddly. Lu Su, we definitely didn't. Li Jinglong protested, Kayan. Look, we're still wearing our clothes. Come with me, Ashinakayan said solemnly, with a very serious demeanor. Zenchi, something really terrible has happened. As the sky was faintly brightening, the city walls were covered with blood, which dripped down along the bricks of the Tong Pass. Feng Changqing stood in the pool of blood high up above the city gates, his eyes filled with shock. He looked towards Li Jinglong, who was arriving in a hurry. They finally couldn't wait any longer, and sent Yao Guai out to fight, Atai explained. He was standing guard on the walls, looking in the direction that the Yao beasts had left. The Carpiao looked at the blood staining the area, and it couldn't help quivering. Bian Lingcheng arrived in a hurry, his eyes filled with terror. He asked in a voice that wouldn't stop quaking, what kind of Yao art is this? The troops must march to battle. Gao Xianzi. Get rid of the rebels. Get rid of this Yao Guai. What Li Jinglong had been most worried about had finally happened. That female shaman among the Saibei Shiwei had been sent by En Lushan. She and the rebel camp must have communicated, which was how En Lushan knew that Hung Jun and Mo Rijin were not in the Tong Pass. That also meant that the power the exorcism department had left at the Tong Pass had weakened greatly. Leaving aside himself, crippled as he was, only 3 people could fight. The balance that had been established after their fight in the Daming Palace was slowly being eroded away, and since he had lost the heart lamp, with the ebbing of their power and the growing of the rebels, En Lushan no longer needed to fear the exorcism department, which was why he had directly sent Liang Danhuo out to fight. A good 100 people had lost their lives above the gates, and this had only been a simple skirmish. At the latest, they will return tonight, Li Jinglong said. We will all stand guard on the city walls. Why were there Yao Guai? Bian Lingcheng asked Feng Changqing. General Feng, you'd best give me a clear explanation. I don't care when the troops will be sent out, Bian Lingcheng. Shut up. Li Jinglong bellowed. Bian Lingcheng was still muttering on, sunk in his fright as he was. When Li Jinglong shouted at him, he immediately fell silent. Feng Changqing said heavily, heed my orders. The entire army will move out tomorrow. As soon as Liang Danhuo had appeared, the Tong Pass guards had been stricken with terror. The rebels' momentum was strong to begin with, to the point where it seemed like they could not be stopped, and now that Yao Guai were joining in, the morale of the Tong Pass troops plummeted sharply. If that painted skin Yao ambushed them again and again, it was possible that in 2 months' time, all of the Tang troops in the Tong Pass would have turned tail and fled. The sun rose, but no one dared to wipe away the stains on the city walls. Atai summoned a whirlwind of water, which swept over the area and cleaned away the blood stains on the watchtower. Gao Xianzi pulled another division to stand guard, but the city guards had learned of what had happened, and their faces were ashen. Feng Changqing and Gao Xianzi decided that they would each go back and begin to gather their troops and commanders in preparation for setting out. They could not wait any longer. Go back, Lu Su said to Li Jinglong. We'll come back again tonight. Li Jinglong nodded, and he went back to the exorcism department to draw up a plan of attack. This time, there were only 3 exorcists left, and all of them had to go with the Tang troops to do battle. Even if they could not defeat Mara, they would have to take down the painted skin Yao. In the Shan commandery, where the rebels were camped, black chi filled the encampment. Liang Danhuo's expression was dark as she landed her giant bat steed, before walking swiftly towards the marshal's tent. A Yao Guai guard stopped her, only for Liang Danhuo to slap it out of her way with a single blow. En Lushan, his entire body rotting and giving off an evil stench, was gnawing on a human leg in the marshal's tent. A little eunuch, Li Zuer, was off to one side, wiping the grime off his eroding body. As they had traveled all this way, the vengeful ghosts and resentment that they had encountered had all been greedily consumed by En Lushan. His form had grown even more vast, and his devil chi had also grown denser. There was only one exorcist, Liang Danhuo said. Scout again, En Lushan replied. Liang Danhuo protested, I want to enter the pass to capture that fish and Zhao Yun and bring them both back. and Lushan put down the leg and walked towards Liang Danhuo. Liang Danhuo stepped aside, letting An Lushan walk towards the outside of the tent. Walking was evidently very difficult for him, and from time to time, rotting bits would fall off his body. Liang Danhuo followed behind him, and she and An Lushan came to a stop in another huge tent. No rugs had been spread on the ground of this tent. There was only an empty space in the middle, in which a bird skeleton almost a jong high had been placed. There were 6 wings on its body, which were spread wide. "This is for you," An Lushan's raspy voice said. "They are pasting human skin and flesh onto it to cover it up." The monkeys all around came and went, carrying human bones and chunks of flesh which they slotted into place on it. To one side, there was a pile of dried human skins. "This is," Liang Danhuo murmured, approached that bird skeleton. "The skeletal remains of the Jingwei," An Lushan said. "It shall become your steed, assist you in conquering Chang'an, and kill Xiaoyu on my behalf." Liang Danhuo looked up silently, studying those bird bones. "Soon, I shall be reborn into a new body," An Lushan said hoarsely. "When that time comes, you must stand guard by my side. You must not take even a step away." Liang Danhuo turned to look at An Lushan. The resentful spirits and the anguish that An Lushan had consumed all this way was reaching a critical point, and as long as he could break through that barrier, he would be able to transform completely into a powerful devil form and leave his physical body behind completely. He would become a powerful existence with no equivalent in this world. "How much longer until then?" Liang Danhuo asked. "Soon," An Lushan's voice, as deep and hoarse as a bellows, replied. "Danhuo, in these past years, how have I treated you?" "You have treated me like a daughter," Liang Danhuo replied solemnly. "Then provide me with a blood sacrifice," An Lushan said. "Kill them all, and bring Li Jinglong to me. I want to make him into the last person that will allow me to break through my body of flesh and become a devil. No longer will I need to pay any mind to that Huashi. They will all die. No one will escape, not a single one of them will escape." End chapter.